fighting the winner could be it. Dana White said when Movzar was fighting Pico, most likely the winner was who I'd face. That's what he said. So now Lerone Murphy, you've got guys like your Rodriguez, Lerone Murphy, Movzar. These are all guys that are right there.
What?
So we got a pretty kick-ass event coming up in a couple days where we'll see the professional, wacky, inflatable, arm-flailing tube man Dricus du Plessis defend his strap against the strangler Khamzat Chimaev. It's pretty much a dream matchup for the fans in terms of high profile as well as how they pair up stylistically. With how explosive and powerful the two of these guys are in their own ways, it's basically impossible for this fight to be boring. If it is, I would be very incredibly shocked. Great main event. The co-main, however, is a little less so. We got undefeated Lerone Murphy welcoming the power-punching former champion hopeful Aaron Pico to the octagon. After so many years of this dude being hyped up even before his first professional fight, all the way through his myriad of many devastating knockouts and deflating blunders over at Bellator, we finally get him on the big stage. He's coming into one of the more talent-stacked divisions, and is getting his first shot against quite a bitch of a matchup against Murphy, who despite being kind of a drag to watch, has been putting together quite the respectable win streak against the likes of Edson Barboza, Dan Ige, and Josh Emmett. I'm not exactly that confident in his chances, but you never know. Might land something gnarly. It'll be a good scrap, regardless of who wins. And said winner will be ushered in as the next challenger for good old Volc, who's been aware of this for seemingly quite a while. And you know, that's all fine and dandy, but what about Evloev? Are we just gonna stick the #1 contender in timeout and pretend he doesn't exist? The fuck are we doing here? You mean to tell me a guy with 4 wins over ranked elite level fighters, including the former bantamweight champion and the last guy to challenge Volc for the belt, is being discarded like a loose pile of leaves so the guy coming in on his debut can get a shot instead? And provided Murphy takes it, does whenever a debuting fighter give him enough of a push to make him leapfrog everyone else? I mean, okay, in fairness, that one wouldn't be as ridiculous. Since the streak is impressive, I don't think Arnold Allen off a 1 win, Brian Ortega off a loss, and Yair off of a single win against another debuting Bellator star in Pitbull really puts them that much farther ahead than him. I think he makes sense. And of course, Diego Lopez literally just fought for the belt. So yeah, aside from Evloev, and provided John Silva doesn't get past Diego Lopez in their bout, I'd say Murphy is in 2nd place. But that's the thing. He's in 2nd place. There is no justification to have him leapfrog Movzar in any way, shape, or form. It is worth mentioning that Volc said the original idea was for the winner of Pico versus Evloev to be up next, since that was the original matchup. But Evloev had to pull out, so we got this one. That would be a lot less egregious, because Evloev has already thoroughly earned his shot, and gatekeeping a popular newcomer would be basically icing on the cake. And if Pico came in and knocked out the #1 contender, then, you know, debut or not, him getting the shot next would be deserved. Kind of similar to Umar coming in and getting a shot off of one top 10 guy against Corey Sandhagen. Corey was pretty much already set to be the next contender, but took this fight anyway because he's a psycho. We love him for it. I know a lot of people were annoyed by that, but that made sense to me. I don't know. Especially if it was in place of an immediate O'Malley rematch, which we ended up getting anyway, but whatever. So yeah, that would have been fine, but unless Evloev had every bone in his body shattered into smithereens, I cannot see why we should just set him on the shelf and let a similar thing play out with Pico and Murphy. Surely the time it would take for him to heal up and get whatever he's got going on figured out would probably be quicker than waiting for these guys who are about to fight to heal up and rest and recover. Let's not have Volc wait around in the twilight of his career, please. Let's get a fight booked for November or December already. I mean, come on. He's not getting younger. I do think it's pretty obvious why they aren't too keen on letting Evloev get his day in the sun just yet, unless they are absolutely forced to. And that is because, ladies and gentlemen, Evloev is a big old parade rainer. He'll take your favorite prospect or contender that you probably picked to beat him and probably put money on and make them look very human. I'm sure he's ruined his fair share of parlays, and he definitely would have mauled Aaron Pico if they actually fought, and I'm flabbergasted at the fact they tried feeding that kid to him on the debut. People would have been even more pissed off than they are already. Because they're already like, he's boring, man. He's so boring. He's just hugging people. He's so goddamn boring. Well, what if I tell you that that is a big bunch of baloney? What if I tell you that this guy is way more entertaining of a fighter than the public opinion would lead you to believe? And what if I told you that a fight with him and Volc would be a certified banger? Well, that is what I'm telling you, so the hypothetical's over. Here goes. Evloev is the most overhated and underrated contender on the roster right now. I think the hate is very much undeserved. Do me a favor and go watch his last 4 fights. He has a bloody brawl with Dan Ige that was pretty much all on the feet, where he had no problem exchanging with him. Takes on Diego Lopez and manages to stave off every heavy slug and vicious submission attempt in a fun back and forth that literally put Lopez on the map. If that were any other contender, Lopez would have drawn and quartered them. But Evloev held him back. Then he had his most controversial fight against Arnold Allen, which was largely contested on the feet as Allen had his takedown defense on point that night, and it was razor close, like down to a piss hair. Everyone seemed pretty split on who they thought won because it looked like Allen was getting the better for the most part on the feet. But Evloev managed to rock him with a jab in the second, stealing that one. Third was a toss-up. It was tit for tat, not exactly a barn burner, but it was pretty fun. Then he goes in there against former champion at 135, Aljamain Sterling, which was genius matchmaking, by the way, because we got the absolute best grappler versus grappler matchup you could ask for. So many slams, trips, hip tosses, reversals, submission attempts. If anyone tries to tell you grappling is boring, make them watch this fight. Just in a nutshell, not a single one of these matches were remotely boring to watch. I think there's this notion about him because his name ends in Ev. He's got the chin strap thing going, and you've seen him engage in enough grappling that you might get the wrong idea about him and think that Evloev is one of these dreaded, stinky, wet blanket fighters. Simply not true. He's well-rounded in every department, has some pretty crispy hands, he's defensively responsible on the feet, he moves around well, has some thudding power that many don't associate with him, but it's there. He has a really nasty, explosive jumping knee that he was fucking Dan Ige up with. And when he does take people to the ground, he isn't really finishing anyone, but it gives him a good mauling down there if they're not on his level. And if they are, we get some pretty fun scrambles. I think another reason he gets a bad rap is the fact that he's at featherweight, which is stacked to the gills with mostly fan-friendly contenders. Even with Topuria and Holloway gone, you still have the likes of Volc as champ, Diego Lopez, Yair Rodriguez, Arnold Allen, Josh Emmett, John Silva, and Steve Garcia, just to name a few. Next to those guys, Evloev is a lot less exciting, but that doesn't make him boring. I also think the whole Arnold Allen decision controversy definitely didn't help his case. I change my mind on who won that fight every time I watch it, so I kind of get why on one hand, since Arnold Allen is the cool boxer guy who moves all slick and looked like he was landing more crisp strikes for the majority. Mr. Parade Rainer came in and rained on the parade. You pesky, pesky Russian. But in saying that, the whole robbery outcry was kind of silly. Razor close fights that could go either way usually don't bother me regardless of the decision. It was a toss-up. It wasn't a robbery. But either way, regardless of what I think, the public consensus was that he came out of that fight as the guy that robbed Arnold Allen. And his name ends in Ev. So he has to be boring. Keep him far away from the title, please. We don't want another Bilal situation or anything, yada yada. I think not. I think he very much should get in there with Volc, and I think the champ's takedown defense and skills on the feet will make it a damn entertaining back and forth with moments on the feet and on the ground. Not only is it the most deserving matchup, it's the most logical one. I actually think it would be a crime to not see this fight. It's a different kind of challenge. I'd much rather that than the winner of Murphy versus Pico, and I'd certainly prefer that to fucking Yair Rodriguez. Don't even get me started.